to the Entrepreneurial CPA Show, some of our special COVID-19 editions, coming at you with the knowledge you need to still break free of the box and punch above your weight. And as always, I'm Garrett Wagner, your Entrepreneurial CPA channel co-host, and still locked down in New Jersey is Dr. Sean. So we're bringing in special guest host to help you through this. And one of the things we're faced with today, besides all the payroll loans, SBA stuff, all the chaos, is, in her own words, the hot mess of accounting standards. So we're bringing in fellow 40 under 40, Melisa Galasso of Galasso Learning Solutions. Melissa, how are you doing today from beautiful North Carolina?
Oh, it is lovely here. Gorgeous weather. Thank you so much for having me, Garrett. It is a great opportunity to talk about all the hot mess that's going on. So gorgeous weather, great time. Can't go outside, but it's all good.
And for those of you that don't know Melissa from her Learning Solution Company, she's one of the top people that trains on any kind of audit update standards boards. You're on some of the AICPA, the FASB boards. Like, you are hooked into this world of accounting standards.
This is what I love to do. I love to attend the meetings. I've actually attended all of the delay meetings, the ones that were live and the ones that we got to watch after the fact. And then I do serve on the AICPA's Technical Issues Committee, as well as the FASB's Not-for-Profit Advisory Committee. So I get the opportunity to actually interact with the standard setters and talk about what's important to them.
And also, I can tell you from personal knowledge, she is very passionate about this. And maybe we'll argue with you on some of these issues if you press her on it. So, tread lightly. I've learned that myself, being firsthand. So Melissa, let's dive into this hot mess.
Sure.
I'm a firm today. The world's blowing up. What is kind of being proposed or delayed that I need to know about so I don't waste time thinking, I got to help my clients implement leasing in the mix of this? What do they need to know that's been pushed or delayed?
Well, the good news is almost all the standard setters have a soft spot for COVID right now. So the AICPA, the FASB, and GASB have all issued either an exposure draft or a final standard that is going to address the delay. And so because of just operational issues, honestly, it's not because it's the COVID is impacting our ability to count. It's really that we can't get our staff out there. We can't look at things. We're having trouble interacting potentially with some of the vendors we might have to talk to. And so they decided what they were going to do is to give us a little bit of breathing room in the adoption of these standards. And in some standard setters like FASB, they've actually said that they're stopping some of the work that they're doing on current projects, and they're holding some of the current exposure drafts that are even available to be issued. They're holding them until the second half of the year. So even though the Private Company Council has an exposure draft that's ready to go out the door, they're not going to even put it out there because they know that right now people don't need to spend more time on accounting. They need to spend more time getting their families together, being able to work on the community, and then being able to go back to work. And so in the meantime, they have really stepped back. And so, as you mentioned, it's a lot of delay. So which one do you want me to start with?
What are the high-level ones? And also, is there a reference where people can go to get a quick list of what's been delayed?
Absolutely. So let's start with FASB because that's obviously most commercial entities and not-for-profit entities are going to be impacted by that one. So FASB has delayed their lease standard for private companies. So they had already in November of 2019 delayed it 1 year. So public companies adopted it in 2019, and then so in 2019 the public companies adopted the lease standard, and then technically the private companies were supposed to adopt it this year in 2020. Well, in 2019, they gave us an extra year, and so we moved it back to 2021. Well, they just proposed, so it actually came out this week, an opportunity to extend it even further 1 more year for leases for private companies. But they also made a really cool change as well. In the original standard for leases, non-public, or there was a separation for not-for-profit entities between public not-for-profit entities and private not-for-profit entities. And when we say public, I want you to take that term very loosely. It just means that they have conduit debt. And so for those nonprofits, which are predominantly schools and hospitals, they were supposed to adopt what public companies, which would have been calendar 19, fiscal 20. And most hospitals and universities have a 5/31 or 6/30 year end, which means they should be implementing it right now. And so for those entities, they're actually going to give them a 1 year delay. So they were not included in the original delay because they were aligned with public companies. But FASB was thoughtful about the fact that the entities that are most influenced right now by COVID, universities had to send all their students home. hospitals are overwrought with other issues. They actually gave both not-for-profit public and not-for-profit public entities the option to delay an additional year. So that one's been great. And then the other entities that are getting a delay are franchisors. So if you're a private company and you have you're a franchisor, you're getting an extra year for revenue recognition. So another gift out there in terms of application is that there's some open items that are problematic that they are trying to solve initial franchise fee accounting. And so instead of trying to make them push it through, they're giving them an extra year as well.
So there's clearly a lot. And like I said, is it on your website, or is there a website they can go to for kind of list of like what's been pushed?
Yes, I do a blog every week. And so if you go on to GalassoLearningSolutions.com, you'll be able to see I do a blog, and it's actually a video very similar to your concept. You can pull them up in there, or we'll have the list in there. You can also go to the website and read the exposure drafts. I'm sure those are going to be really high on people's list of things to want to read. But those are out there. But on my blog, I do keep that listing, and I post it out there with the information that's needed about it.
So then final question for you, Melissa, if I'm conducting an audit right now and there's a new accounting standard, auditing standard, whatever standard coming up, should I just assume it's been delayed, or how can I kind of wrap my head around what to do with it?
So you can't do that if you're an auditor. So if you are looking at this, FASB only chose to delay 2 standards, right? So FASB delayed leases for private entities and not-for-profit entities, and then franchisors for revenue. Other than that, they haven't delayed any other standards. Now, GASB, on the other hand, GASB delayed their entire suite of standards that have not yet been effective. So if you go look, they have 9 standards and 5 implementation guides that they have delayed. So on the GASB side, if it's not yet effective, you can kind of assume that that's going to be delayed. But you can't just have this overarching, on the FASB side, if there's something that's supposed to be effective this year and you're supposed to be adopting it, you probably are going to have to, unless the FASB determines that it's a major issue. So leases obviously being a large standard, and revenue recognition being an incredibly large standard. Those are what they focused on. They did not go to their smaller standards. GASB took a slightly different approach, which said anything that was not effective was going to basically be pushed back. And even the AICPA is pushing back their standard. So the AICPA has delayed SAS 134, 135, 136, 137, 138, 139, and 140, which includes the major changes to the auditor's report. So the entire reporting suite is going to be delayed from December of 2020 until December of 2021. However, originally there was no early adoption. They are going to permit early adoption under the delay. So a little bit of a change. So that will be SAS 141.
Yeah, so to put your words, this sounds like a hot mess. There's just a ton of stuff going on. We could probably talk, as you do, probably talk for hours on all these changes. So I'll post a link to your blog, your website, encourage people to check it out. And I also think, Melissa, we've got so much going on. Let's come back for part 2 and part 3 and dive into some more of these nuances, so everybody out there is aware of the auditing and test considerations right now during COVID, so they're ready to deal with this crisis and help out their clients.
Absolutely. I'd be happy to join you again.
Perfect. Well, thank you, everybody, for watching. Don't forget, during these crazy times, click to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Stay up to date. And as always, we challenge you to take action to change the world and invest in yourself.